Meghan Markle has decided to use the 5th birthday of her own daughter to lash out, making her first public statement about the very clear hypocrisy of releasing new images like that.
Many people know Angela Levin as a well-known royal commentator who often speaks about the British royal family. But now, Angela Levin is once again making waves after reportedly sharing new and surprising claims about Lilibet, the daughter of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. Her latest comments have caught royal fans off guard and are now becoming a major talking point. So, what exactly did she say, and why is it getting so much attention? What could these new claims mean for the ongoing public interest in the royal family? But what do you think about Angela Levin's latest claims? Do you believe they change anything? Or is it just another royal controversy making headlines? Let's know your thoughts. And don't forget to stay tuned for more royal news, updates, and stories. Levin's claims on Sussex. Angela Levin has recently made new claims about Meghan Markle, Lilibet, and the photos being shared online, including talk about possible AI editing. Some people see a clear double standard in how this situation is being handled, especially when compared to how Catherine, Princess of Wales, was heavily criticized in the American media while dealing with cancer. In contrast, Meghan has shared images that some people believe look altered or unusual, which has led to ongoing questions about whether the pictures are real or digitally changed. There is also a belief among some commentators that Meghan's way of sharing photos is actually fueling speculation about her daughter's identity. While this could be a coincidence, critics argue that the way these images are presented encourages public curiosity and even suspicion, which they describe as troubling. Attention has also been drawn to the reduced visibility of Archie in the Sussex public story. These comments are being taken seriously by some because Angela Levin is not seen as someone guessing or repeating rumors. She has previously spent time with Prince Harry and had direct access to him in the past, which is why her current remarks are being viewed by supporters as more pointed and intentional. According to this view, she is now openly challenging the carefully controlled public image that Meghan and Harry have built over time. The timing of these statements is also being discussed. They come during a period when the Sussex public image and business influence are facing pressure. At the same time, questions about Harry's comments and actions regarding children and social media have become more noticeable, creating further debate around consistency and credibility. Angela Levin, in this context, is seen as speaking more directly than before, without softening her criticism. Some observers believe that several problems are happening at once: doubts about public images, ongoing media debate, and criticism of Harry's public positions. These issues are interacting and reinforcing each other, making the situation more intense and harder for the Sussex team to manage. From this perspective, Meghan is seen as someone who is usually able to control the narrative, but currently appears to be facing challenges in responding to the growing criticism. But how about the birthday photographs? Why is it causing panic? Let's find out. Meghan's birthday controversy. Lilibet recently turned 5 years old, and Meghan marked the occasion in a way she has often used in recent years for sharing personal family moments. Instead of a private celebration kept away from public attention, she posted carefully chosen images on social media. The pictures showed soft, warm scenes filled with natural California sunlight, creating an impression of calm family life and a peaceful home environment. The overall presentation suggested a mother sharing a tender and meaningful moment with the world. Despite her past comments about feeling deeply mistreated by sections of the public and the media. However, the reaction to the post did not remain simple or purely positive. Instead of just warm wishes, the images quickly led to questions and discussion. Many viewers began examining the photographs closely, as has become common with content related to the Sussex family. Over time, public attention toward their posts has grown more critical and analytical, with people often looking for hidden meaning or possible inconsistencies in how their public image is presented. Some observers felt that certain details in the images did not look entirely natural. They focused especially on the way the child's face was partially covered by hair, as it often is in shared images. While this could be seen as a simple choice for privacy, Critics argued that the overall appearance of the photos seemed slightly unusual. They pointed to features such as uneven proportions, textures that appeared too smooth, and a polished look that does not normally appear in ordinary candid family photography. These concerns led to speculation that the images may have been altered or enhanced in some way, though such claims remained part of public debate rather than confirmed fact. Alongside these reactions, journalist Paula Froelich added another layer to the discussion. She compared Meghan's shared images with promotional photographs from a California-based children's clothing brand called Little Olives. This brand had launched around the same period that Meghan was developing her own lifestyle project, known as Ever. Froelich suggested that there were noticeable similarities between the children appearing in both sets of images. In her view, the resemblance was strong enough to raise further questions about how the imagery was created and whether there were shared visual influences or overlapping presentation styles. She described the similarities as difficult to dismiss easily, adding more attention to the growing debate around the images. Froelich also examined written content connected to the As Ever brand. Using Google's Gemini artificial intelligence tool, she compared the promotional text from Meghan's lifestyle project with the marketing copy used by Little Olives. According to the results she shared, the AI analysis suggested that the structure and wording of the two sets of text were highly similar. The patterns of sentences, the flow of ideas, and the overall formatting appeared closely aligned, with only small changes in wording and branding details. The conclusion drawn from this comparison was that the texts might follow a similar template or formula, even if the specific terms were adjusted to fit different brand identities. This aspect of the discussion introduced another dimension involving technology and content creation. The use of artificial intelligence to compare marketing copy highlighted how modern tools can be used to analyze writing style, structure, and originality. It also added to public debate about how lifestyle brands are built and how closely different creative outputs may resemble each other when they follow similar promotional strategies. At the same time, broader commentary emerged around Meghan and Prince Harry's relationship with media attention. Some critics contrasted Harry's long-standing discomfort with press intrusion, which he has often linked to his upbringing and experiences with photographers during his childhood, with Meghan's more public-facing approach. They suggested that while Harry has tended to avoid constant media exposure, Meghan has more frequently engaged with public visibility through events, interviews, and social media appearances. These observations were presented as differing attitudes toward fame and publicity within the same household. As discussion continued, the focus gradually shifted away from the birthday itself. What could have remained a simple and private family celebration instead became part of a wider conversation involving digital imagery, branding strategies, and public perception. The photographs, the comparisons to commercial branding, and the analysis of written content all contributed to a growing debate about how modern public figures present their personal and professional lives online. Is all this a coincidence, or could it be about Meghan's image? Let's take a closer look. Meghan's image strategy. California is known for a certain kind of woman who builds a certain kind of brand, often with a carefully chosen style and image. According to critics, Meghan has already been linked to the use of artificial intelligence in some of her pictures in the past, and this is presented as a confirmed fact rather than a guess. From this viewpoint, the ongoing confusion about what Lilibet looks like is not something that appeared on its own or by accident. It is said to be something that came from Meghan's own choices over time. No one allegedly demanded secrecy about the child's appearance, and no one forced it on her. Instead, the claim is that she shaped this situation step by step through repeated decisions about what to show and what not to show, building a carefully controlled public image over a number of years. Now, she is seen as having to deal with the consequences of that image, including the questions and speculation that come with it. In this framing, it is argued that Meghan herself created the curiosity and debate about her daughter's identity and appearance, which is why the situation feels so troubling to some observers. Angela Levin is often brought into this discussion as someone who expresses strong criticism. She is quoted as saying that Meghan has repeatedly influenced Harry in a negative way. suggesting that he has been turned against his family and has suffered emotionally because of the relationship. In this view, Levin argues that a relationship cannot be healthy if one person is constantly pulling the other into distress and instability, rather than helping them become stronger or more balanced. These comments are used to support a wider claim that Meghan's influence has been harmful rather than supportive. When it comes to the issue of photographs, Levin's central point is described as very simple but also very serious in its implications. She suggests that if Meghan had simply shared everyday photos of her daughter, the way many parents do without causing public attention, then none of this controversy would exist. There would be no talk of artificial intelligence, no debates online, no attempts by internet users to search for the child's real appearance, and no comparisons to brand imagery or stylized photos. It would have been a normal birthday celebration shared briefly and then forgotten. From this perspective, the idea of mystery is not something created by outside media forces, but something built gradually by repeated decisions over time. Levin is said to find this approach not only unusual, but deeply unsettling, using very strong language to express her concern. She argues that the result of this strategy is that a young child has become part of a global guessing game, where strangers try to interpret and analyze limited images. In this argument, the public speculation is not seen as random or unfair media behavior, but as a predictable result of controlled sharing. The claim is that when information is carefully limited and tightly managed, people naturally begin to fill in the gaps with theories and assumptions. What follows is increasing curiosity, debate, and uncertainty about what is real. At the same time, there is an acknowledged contradiction in how this situation is presented. Meghan consistently frames her public choices as being centered on protecting her child. This protective message is a strong and emotional one, because most people understand and accept the idea that parents want to shield their children from public exposure. When that idea is used to explain public silence or limited sharing, it becomes very persuasive. It can make every refusal to show more details seem like a responsible decision, and every carefully chosen image appears thoughtful and caring. However, critics argue that this same protective framing also makes it difficult to question those choices. Could this tension between intention and outcome be part of what continues to fuel discussion and disagreement around the topic? What did Levin say about Harry's present situation? Let's take a closer look. Levin on Harry's change. Angela Levin knew Prince Harry long before Meghan entered his life. Because of that, she believes she is in a unique position to judge how much he has changed over the years. In her view, the difference between the Harry she once knew and the Harry people see today is impossible to ignore. Much of Levin's confidence comes from her personal experience with him. She spent considerable time with Harry before his marriage and observed him during a period when he seemed comfortable with his role within the royal family. She saw a man who had ambitions and wanted to use his position to make a positive impact. He often spoke about helping others, supporting charitable causes, and making a meaningful contribution to society. Levin remembers him as someone with warmth, energy, and genuine potential. Over time, however, she believes that version of Harry slowly disappeared. According to her, the change did not happen overnight. Instead, it was a gradual process that unfolded over several years. She describes it as a steady and systematic transformation. Watching this happen appears to have been deeply disappointing for her. There is a sense of sadness in the way she talks about it, as though she feels she has witnessed the loss of someone she once respected and admired. One issue that particularly concerns Levin is the controversy surrounding recent photographs of Princess Lilibet. Many people online have questioned the images and debated whether they have been altered or edited. Levin argues that the situation could have been avoided entirely. In her opinion, if Meghan simply shared ordinary photographs in a straightforward way, there would be far less speculation. People would be able to discuss Lilibet naturally, without endless online investigations and debates about what is real and what is not. Levin has said that the current situation has created an unhealthy atmosphere. Instead of allowing the child to remain at the center of a normal family moment, attention has shifted toward examining every detail of the photographs. This has led to what she describes as an internet-wide search for the real Lilibet, something she considers unpleasant and unfair. She believes that much of this confusion was created unnecessarily and could have been prevented with a different approach. What makes the issue even more striking for critics is Harry's reported involvement. According to sources who spoke to royal correspondent Rob Shooter, Harry did not merely accept the publication of the photographs. He reportedly supported the decision enthusiastically. For some observers, this is surprising because it appears very different from positions he has taken in the past. For years, Harry spoke publicly about the dangers of exposing children to social media and public scrutiny. He frequently warned about the negative effects of online attention and discussed the importance of protecting young people from unnecessary public exposure. Many people believed he felt strongly about these issues and that his concerns were sincere. Because of those earlier statements, some critics see a contradiction in his current actions. They argue that the man who once urged parents to shield their children from public attention now appears comfortable presenting family images to a global audience. Rather than viewing the photographs as conflicting with his previously stated beliefs, he seems to see them as a positive celebration of family life. Of course, there are different ways to interpret this change. Some people would argue that it is perfectly natural for views to evolve over time. Individuals grow older, gain new experiences, and sometimes adjust their opinions. A father may decide that there is a balance between protecting his children and occasionally sharing family moments with the public. Angela Levin, however, remains unconvinced by that explanation. She believes the pattern of change within the Sussex household follows a familiar path. According to her, disagreements often begin with Harry holding one position while Meghan holds another. Discussions follow, and eventually Harry comes to accept Meghan's perspective. In Levin's view, this pattern has repeated itself enough times to become noticeable. She suggests that the disagreement over the photographs was not a minor one. Instead, she believes it reflected a larger issue about values, public image, and decision-making within the family. For Levin, the controversy is about more than a few photographs. It represents what she sees as a broader transformation in Harry's attitudes and priorities. Whether people agree with her assessment or not, she clearly believes that the difference between the Harry she once knew and the Harry seen today is one of the most significant developments in his public life. How did Harry change so much? What challenges did Harry encounter with his transformation? Let's find out. Harry's transformation struggles. Harry had once felt truly uneasy about what seemed like a clear contradiction in Meghan's public message. On one hand, she often spoke about the importance of limiting children's exposure to screens and protecting young people from the pressures of the digital world. On the other hand, many people felt that her growing business plans and public image increasingly relied on interest in her own children. Harry reportedly struggled with this conflict. He was uncomfortable with it and for a time appeared resistant to the idea. His concerns seemed sincere and his hesitation was genuine. Yet, over time, that resistance appeared to disappear, much like other objections he had raised in the past. What many observers find remarkable is how completely Harry's life has changed in recent years. The transformation has affected almost every part of who he once was. His relationships with family members have deteriorated. Long-standing friendships from his military years have faded or ended. Much of the charitable work that connected him to the legacy of his mother, Princess Diana, has become less central to his public identity. Even the strong sense of purpose he once seemed to draw from being a prince has, according to critics, largely disappeared. To some people, it appears that Harry has given up nearly everything that once defined him. The life he knew, the connections he valued, and the role that gave him direction all seem to have been left behind. Critics then ask what he has gained in exchange. They point to reports suggesting that his marriage faces significant pressures. They also note that several of his and Meghan's business ventures have struggled to achieve the level of success that many expected. Years ago, Harry spoke openly about his desire to make something meaningful of his life. He appeared determined to create an identity that went beyond simply being a member of the royal family. According to comments he once made, he felt that public attention on him would not last forever. He believed there was only a limited period during which people would be especially interested in him before younger royals, particularly Prince George, naturally became the focus of public attention. At the time, Harry reportedly explained that he wanted to take advantage of that opportunity and make the most of it while he could. Looking back now, some critics argue that he had plenty of time to develop a clear purpose and build a lasting legacy. They question why, after more than a decade, he still appears to be searching for the role he wants to play. The image that emerges from these criticisms is of a man who seems deeply dissatisfied with where life has taken him. Living in California was supposed to represent a fresh start. It was presented as a chance to find greater freedom, independence, and authenticity. Yet some observers believe those promises have not been fulfilled. Instead, they see a man who appears unhappy and uncertain. From their perspective, Harry now finds himself in a difficult position. Returning to his former life would not be easy. Too many relationships have been damaged. Too many public statements have been made. He has openly criticized people who were once among the closest figures in his life, and repairing those relationships would likely require tremendous effort. As a result, some believe he feels stuck between two worlds. The old life is difficult to return to, while the new life has not brought the satisfaction he may have hoped for. In their view, the freedom he sought has not resulted in peace of mind. Instead, they argue that he appears trapped by the choices he has made and the circumstances that followed. For critics, even the public photographs of his daughter have become part of this larger story. They see them as another example of how far his life has moved from the values and concerns he once expressed. Whether that interpretation is fair or not, it reflects how some people now view his journey. Among those offering such observations is royal biographer Angela Levin. Levin knew Harry during an earlier period of his life, before many of the controversies that now surround him. She spent time with him when he was still discussing future plans, speaking enthusiastically about the projects he hoped to pursue, and showing the warmth and sense of purpose that many people admired. Over the years, Levin has watched what she believes to be a gradual change in his character and circumstances. From her perspective, many of the qualities that once made him popular have slowly disappeared. She has become increasingly vocal about her concerns and no longer feels inclined to keep those opinions private. Levin has suggested that Harry's public appearance often reveals a man carrying significant emotional burdens. She believes he struggles to fully confront his situation, regardless of the reasons behind it. Her comments are notable because they come from someone who once had considerable access to him and who appeared genuinely concerned about his future. When a person who knew Harry closely begins speaking so openly about her worries, supporters of this viewpoint see it as a sign that the reality behind the public image may be more troubled than many people realize. While people around the world have been paying attention to Lilibet, her appearance, her photographs, and the publicity surrounding her 5th birthday, a 7-year-old boy has been quietly and steadily fading from the Sussex's public story. Why has Archie vanished from the Sussex spotlight while Lilibet takes center stage? Why is Archie missing from Meghan's brand story? Let's find out. Archie's disappearance from public view. Archie Harrison Mountbatten Windsor is Harry and Meghan's first child. When he was born, many people believed his arrival would become one of the most important moments in Harry and Meghan's life together. His birth attracted worldwide attention, and he was often presented as a symbol of the new chapter the couple hoped to build as a family. Meghan herself spoke passionately about motherhood and about wanting to create a safer, happier, and more protected future for her children. According to the story the couple shared publicly, their desire to give their family greater freedom and privacy was one of the major reasons they chose to leave royal life behind and settle in California. Yet some observers have noticed what they believe is a striking change in how the Sussex children appear in the public narrative. Archie, who was once expected to play a central role in the family's public story, now appears far less often than his younger sister, Lilibet. Critics argue that he has not simply become less visible from time to time. Instead, they believe he has almost disappeared from the family's public image altogether. Looking at social media posts, promotional photographs, brand-related content, and family milestones shared publicly, many people have observed that Lilibet appears far more frequently. This has led some commentators to ask difficult questions. If privacy is truly the main goal, they argue, then both children would likely be treated in exactly the same way. The same standards would apply to both of them. Their images would be protected equally, and neither child would receive noticeably more public attention than the other. Instead, critics see a different pattern emerging. They point to one child being featured repeatedly, while the other remains largely absent. According to this interpretation, the difference cannot easily be explained by privacy concerns alone. Some believe there is another factor involved: public interest and commercial value. Those who hold this view argue that Lilibet naturally attracts significant attention because of her unique position within the royal story. Her name carries special historical meaning because it was the childhood nickname of the late queen. As a result, stories, photographs, and updates involving her often generate strong reactions and widespread discussion. They attract clicks, comments, media coverage, and public curiosity. Critics claim that this increased interest may make Lilibet more valuable from a branding and publicity perspective. In contrast, they argue that Archie does not generate the same level of attention, which may explain why he appears less frequently in public-facing content. This viewpoint has been expressed by a royal biographer. Levin is not viewed by supporters of this argument as simply another outside critic. She spent considerable time with Prince Harry while researching his biography and observed him during periods when he was reportedly more open and relaxed. Because of this experience, her opinions are often presented as carrying additional weight among royal commentators. The discussion becomes even more significant when considering the long-term impact on the children themselves. Archie is still young, and at his age he may not fully understand the public conversations taking place around him. However, many child development experts have long noted that children are often sensitive to differences in attention and recognition. They can notice when a sibling receives more focus, more praise, or more visibility. As Archie grows older, he will eventually have access to the same articles, videos, social media discussions, and public debates that exist today. Years from now, he may be able to look back and see how both he and his sister were portrayed publicly. Some commentators wonder how he might feel if he concludes that there was a noticeable difference in how each child was presented to the world. For them, this is not primarily a question about newspapers or online criticism. It is a question about family choices and the messages those choices may communicate. The debate surrounding the children's visibility is also connected to broader discussions about Meghan's business ventures. Critics argue that the controversy over photographs, allegations of image manipulation, and questions about Archie's absence cannot be separated from the larger commercial environment surrounding the Sussex brand. When Meghan introduced her lifestyle brand, it was presented as an authentic reflection of her personal tastes and values. The brand emphasized beauty, simplicity, home life, and everyday enjoyment. The idea was that consumers would not simply purchase products, they would also connect with the lifestyle and image being promoted alongside those products. However, according to several commentators, the business has faced challenges meeting expectations. Reports and claims from critics suggest that sales and public engagement may not have matched the enormous level of publicity that surrounded the launch. These concerns have drawn further attention because some observers claim Meghan has increasingly relied on outside personalities to help promote the brand. One frequently mentioned example is Olivia McDowell, a social media influencer with a modest but dedicated online following. Critics argue that McDowell appears more relaxed and natural when presenting certain products, leading some viewers to find her demonstrations more convincing. For a brand built heavily around Meghan's own public profile and reputation, critics argue that such comparisons raise uncomfortable questions. In their view, this goes beyond a simple marketing setback and points to larger concerns about the direction and effectiveness of the entire operation. What is the Sussex business based upon? Is there a collaboration between Harry and Meghan? Let's find out. Sussex brand strategy. The Sussex business plan was based on a very simple idea. Harry's royal background combined with Meghan's Hollywood connections would attract enough attention to build a strong, independent commercial brand. At first, it looked like everything was in place for that to work, but what has slowly become clear is that something important was missing from the beginning. There was plenty of attention, but not enough real, solid content to keep things going. The interest from the public was real, but the material meant to support it was weak. Over time, the children entered this picture. Whenever the brand needed fresh attention or a boost, the children appeared in the narrative. Critics like Angela Levin describe this pattern as deliberate, not accidental, and argue that it does not resemble the actions of a parent focused only on privacy and protection. A moment involving Hello magazine highlights how this wider media environment works. On the red carpet, actress Abigail Spencer was asked about her friendship with Meghan, and the interviewer openly stated on camera that Hello works with Meghan Markle rather than simply reporting on her. In other words, the magazine presented itself as closely connected to her rather than independent. This was a striking admission, even if it was said casually, because it supports long-standing claims that some of the positive coverage of the Sussexes is not traditional journalism, but carefully managed publicity. In this kind of arrangement, personal stories like birthday photos and family updates can be presented as natural, private moments, when in reality they may also serve a commercial or branding purpose. This helps explain why questions about Lilibet's photographs were not raised more strongly at first. It is not necessarily that people failed to notice anything unusual, but that for a long time, many voices in mainstream media were not willing to challenge the narrative openly. However, this controlled media environment is now beginning to change. More critical questions are being asked publicly by people who have studied the situation closely, including writers and commentators such as Paula Froelich and Angela Levin. These are not casual online critics, but individuals who present themselves as experienced observers of royal affairs. Once such questions enter public discussion from credible voices, they become harder to ignore. They build on each other over time and eventually create pressure that carefully managed public relations content can no longer fully control. Some commentary also suggests concern about how Meghan's public positioning compares with Catherine, Princess of Wales, especially regarding public image and popularity. There is a belief among some commentators that risks are being managed carefully behind the scenes, although opinions on this differ widely. Looking at the broader situation, critics argue that someone entered the royal family with major advantages: strong public interest, a high-profile relationship with a well-liked prince, and significant media goodwill. In their view, this could have been used to build a stable and lasting public role. Instead, they say it resulted in a fragile commercial brand, strained relationships, ongoing controversy, and intense public scrutiny of family privacy. Angela Levin, in particular, is portrayed as someone deeply disappointed by how events have unfolded. She recalls earlier comments from Harry about a limited window of opportunity to build his public identity, and sees a stark contrast between those ambitions and his current situation. From her perspective, the issue is not simply sadness about what has happened, but frustration that a different path was once possible, and in her view, was not taken. So, what do you think about Angela Levin's shocking revelation with new claims about Lilibet? Share your thoughts with us in the comments section. Don't forget to like and subscribe.